there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you'll stick around with me and paint this lovely watery poinsettia with some golden touches, metallic touches, and fir needles. Today I'm using my Mei Liang watercolor palette, my size 6 Intuition round brush by Artegria. This is the 300 GSM watercolor paper by B Paper Company, and I'm also using the Shuttle Art Metallics palette. It's 24 half pans of 24 different metallics, and they're so fun to work with. Let's get started. Today I'm so excited to paint some poinsettias. I painted one of these so far this season, and it has not been enough, so I'm going to paint some more today and show you how I paint them, one of the ways, because I like to use different techniques, and I like for them to come out different every time even, and so I just want to show you this. I'm going to start with my Scarlet from my Mei Liang paint palette, and just get a good amount of it ready on my ceramic palette. Okay, I want this really pigmented because I'm going to use that technique where I brush water into my my starting dots or V's or whatever, and so I just want to start with these kind of like a V or a little heart, even kind of looks like that. These do not have to be perfect. I'm just going to give some other little bits right there, and then I kind of drag off some of that pigment just because I hate to rinse it all into my rinse water. I hate to waste that much, and rinse my brush, and then I'm going to take my brush, drag off some of the water, and then I want to start well out here, well away from these center places of my flowers, and I'm going to drag a petal shape right into that pigment, and then rinse it if you need to, and do it again from the other side. That's kind of maybe a bit too far, but, and then just kind of help coax that if you need to. So you see, if you work a little quicker, it can help that pigment just kind of bleed out there, but I love to let it just do its own thing. You can kind of push at the pigment if you want to. Like here, I could push this kind of to define that edge, if you will. But I love the way it just swirls, and it makes its own beautiful thing. And so doing the same thing here, I want to kind of be able to see where I have that water, but it can be tricky once you get that first brush stroke. You really kind of have to remember where it is because it is not really that visible. So just give this another little brush here, and then just push that out there. I think this next time I will do this without rinsing my brush so thoroughly. Now I'm going to go back in with a little more of this pigment while it's wet here, and see, that's already kind of dry. So, but just kind of push that pigment in. And I'm not going to worry that I let this get dry. I'm just going to brush another petal shape into that and see what happens. And see, it may be a little ho-hum there, but there we go. All right, now these are getting dry, so I really want to kind of work a little quicker. Okay, just remembering to have a little bit of that pigment. Oh, that is a lot of water. That's okay. I think that's going to work. Then I'm just adding some little marks out here little brush strokes, maybe some hints of some other petals. And I think I want to use my deep Hocker's green for these leaves. And I'm going to use somewhat of that same technique. Just giving this, you know, this little shape down here a lot of pigment. I'm kind of avoiding my wettest areas just so that I don't brush into those. I'm going to do these leaves kind of big. So again, remembering that those difficulties there, I'm taking a little bit of pigment onto my brush here to brush on this water. And I don't have enough water on my brush for that, for the size I want to do there. And I'm kind of squiggling these in as I go because poinsettia leaves I think can be kind of rough around the edges, maybe. Lots of water on these. Let's see. And just kind of filling that all in with that water. Okay, I'm going to end up with a bit of a bloom in that, which I wasn't intending to do, but I love that, especially in leaves. I think it can be so pretty. So some people will criticize that in a, you know, that it's maybe not the best technique or that it is kind of a flaw, but I think it can have a really neat effect. And so I sometimes am happy when that happens. Love these. Okay, and I'm going to go with some more of this red. And I want some petals back here, so and you know, I'll do some also in front, but for now doing these, maybe one in front right here. I think this one is dry enough. I still have some heavy water puddles here, so don't quite want to do that yet. So I'm just using the same technique where I'm making these puddles and then rinsing off a good bit of my pigment and then just kind of brushing into that. Kind of want to connect it here. I may make this a little bigger so that that pigment has a little more room to flow. Yeah, I like it. I feel like poinsettias have a lot of these little petals kind of in the center, and they kind of go every which way. So wouldn't get too torn up about how to position them, or and then you can just kind of go back and soften these a bit if you like by just brushing some water beside or even in them. It'll kind of push some of that pigment. If this is still wet, I can drop some heavy pigment into it. Just a little petal kind of peeking out there. Did not realize that's still so wet there. So I am going to dab that, and then I'll just come back to it. Maybe give it a gentle, rough outline, but I feel like even that may kind of bleed, so. Okay, just putting some more hints of petals. Still wet on this big petal right there. And then just kind of softening any of those that I feel like. Not necessarily your limited time, quick little painting here necessarily, but certainly rewarding and fun. And I'm just going to kind of push this pigment out there. Okay, I like it. Oh, dear. Let's just dab that pigment out of there. Who knew that was still so wet there? Okay, let's just not touch into that red. Well, that was a goof. Just getting some more leaves in here. Just feel like it needs a few more. And I'm just kind of outlining around this petal right here. I had a little bleed into this leaf. I'm not going to let it run me. I may go ahead and dab it just so I can kind of preserve some of that shadow. But And I kind of think this leaf here could be bigger, so I'm just kind of going over those edges so that I don't really have those hard edges there. I love that. And I think I will go ahead and do some black in the center. And then I'll come back with either my metallic gold or my gold watercolor and use some of that. I do want to give this some metallic touches. So I'm going to do that as well. I'm just going to make some little circles here. I'm going to try not to be super perfect about it. I don't want them so evenly spaced or, you know, perfectly shaped. I feel like it's a little more real and real, you know, I'm not going for realism, but looks a little more natural maybe. Okay, we'll leave that. And I have this metallic palette. I'll have to list it in the comments because I don't remember who makes it and I don't know if it's marked. Oh, it is. It is Shuttle Art half pans. So I'll display that and I'll also mention it in the description. And I have this. Unfortunately, I've never swatched it, and so I don't know which is going to be my optimal red, but I think it will be this, I don't know, there's kind of a pinky red, and then there's almost a copper, like, I don't know, very, very rose gold. I'm not sure what we'd call it, but I think it's too gold. So I want to go in with this metallic. And when I work with metallics, I usually like to go straight from the pan. I don't usually work with my ceramic palette much, but I just want to go in here and, you know, just take a place where it could use a highlight. I don't want to do every one of these center petals, but some of them, and just kind of give them a little detail. And then go out from there, just kind of brushing in just a little highlight here and there, just an area that would be pretty if it were kind of glowing, sort of. And I think, you know, you could do that to kind of define one of these larger petals. Just little touches. And that, you know, use the side of your brush a little bit. Don't feel like you always have to go from the tip. Fun. I cannot wait to see how this looks when it's done. Fun. Very fun. Okay, and how about some of this green? I have a couple of different greens, but yeah. Just giving these some little veins with this metallic. I like to use kind of a drag and dash kind of technique with these. Kind of squiggle my brush a bit to kind of help me keep it just imperfect and loose. And sometimes the metallics in a metallic will kind of bleed off the brush a bit early. And so if you're continuing to brush, sometimes the metallic portion has already been distributed on your painting. And so it's just kind of worthwhile to re-up that, get a little more on there. But yeah, I love that. And what if along with that, just go in with some strokes back behind here. Just okay, I don't love that. And here's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna panic. I'm gonna freshen my water. Okay, I'm just gonna wet that. I think there might be a way to keep it and rescue it, but this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to just scrub it out with some water. And blot it. That worked real well. I may have lost a little detail on the tip of that petal, but I think it's okay. I'm gonna go in to that base down there, the base of the leaf, and just scrub it a little. And there you go. And there's a little thing right there, but that doesn't worry me. I may come in with some gold anyway, and that might be someplace I could put a little gold detail if I, if I think that there's still a noticeable shadow. Just give it a little more scrub on that edge, and then blot it. I do think that metallics can have a tendency to be erased a bit more easily, so that's good. Okay, let's see. Okay, I had a little bit of a technical problem there. I was finishing up my painting and noticed that my camera had died, and so I just ran out of battery. So I wanted to show you, I'd added these fir needles in gold, and to complete this, I think it turned out so great. So I want to show you how I did those. It's so simple, and anyone really can do these. I'm just using my metallic gold from my metallics palette, and I like to work directly from the palette rather than going to my ceramic palette. And literally you're just going to brush a stem. I like to make them a little curvy, and then brush these little needles out from the stem. They don't need to be perfect, and you're just doing that. You can brush, I like to do a combination of to and from the stem so that they kind of, there's some variation and it doesn't get too predictable, or my spaces are not so perfectly spaced or measured, if that makes sense. But that's really all there is to it. You can kind of branch one off somewhere and make it just a branched off piece from that same fir branch, and then just being sure to kind of overlap some of those needles. Well, my brush kind of got stuck there, I kind of didn't have the right grip or something, I don't know, but no big deal. Obviously, the more of that pigment you're loading on your brush, the more it will sometimes put out there in just that first brush stroke even. And so, if you need to kind of smooth that out, you can, but I kind of like it. Adds a little bit more depth and texture. And so you can even kind of do these with almost a dry brush. That's an interesting effect with it. But just remembering that the needles will be a bit longer toward the beginning of the stem. And that's really all you need to know. Here was the final painting. And it was really just so much fun. It was really delightful. I loved it, and mistakes and all. And I hope you can see the metallics in that. I hope they're visible, but I really love it. It would make such a sweet card. You could make this on a smaller scale for a gift tag. I even think that I would frame this and put it on a wall. It would make a lovely Christmas decoration. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you painted this. I hope you'll let me know, leave a comment, and as always, happy painting!